leader, so that when you're sitting behind that resolute desk in the Oval Office and you are the leader of the free world, that I can trust your judgment is not thinking about yourself, but it's actually thinking about the people who pay your salary, which is myself and everyone else on this. So morals do matter, not in the sense of sexuality and whatnot. I mean, he has been convicted, and it was actually a hush money case to the 34 paperwork counts. It was actually a hush money case where he paid off a porn star because he was having an affair with a woman while he was married, and she had
the star witness, Michael Cohen, admitted to lying on the stand. I mean, to stealing from Trump on the stand. And in this case, really, this case really rested on him and his testimony. And then if we're talking about sexuality, we can bring up Willie Brown. Okay, we can bring up a lot of things that have been said about Kamala in terms of how she got jobs and how she had, he was the one that got her started with a lot of jobs and things. These are documented. These aren't just rumors. So
and Melanie, let me step in.
I don't get into, if you want to take this moral road, then, if you're going to bring up Trump stuff, then let's bring up that. And
I don't want to
go into that, but I don't care about it. So, and I don't think she's lazy. I don't see her as lazy.
Okay.
I don't, again, none of this puts money in anybody's pocket. None of this is policy. None of this is going to, change any of our lives. It just feels like gossip.
And for context, so this was, she had been accused of sleeping her way to the top, and this was referring to an alleged relationship that she had with his former Speaker of California State Assembly, Willie Brown. So he was married at the time, alleged married at the time, and put her in a couple of higher level positions.
He was a mayor. He was a mayor.
It was the mayor of San Francisco.
To clarify, can I just to clarify? The reason why Kamala Harris was the district attorney of San Francisco, the reason why she was the attorney general of California, the reason why she was the U.S. Senator of California, and the reason why she's the vice president is not because of Willie Brown. It's because she has worked hard and she has convinced Americans to vote for her, millions and millions of Americans. So respectfully to Judge Joe Brown, I discredit that because it is offensive to say that the reason why she is here is because of some rumor or whatever. It's because the voters voted her to be in those positions.
The reason why she became the vice president is because Joe Biden promised a black female vice president. That's the only reason. Because
a woman.
Yeah,
a woman president.
No.
They brought a list.
Ryan, fact check.
Ryan, fact check. Martin's, like they have it. It's a list. They said it was black women.
It was black women
for the Supreme Court.
The coalition went to him and said, "You need to pick from this list of black women."
It was just to clear, because I was working on the campaign at that time. He promised in the debate that he would appoint the first black female justice to the U.S. Supreme Court, because there had not been one yet. But he would appoint a woman. He would select a woman to be his running mate. As the tensions in 2020 got more heated, several white women, including Amy Klobuchar, stepped away and said, I actually think it would be important that it be a woman of color. But his commitment was to a woman. It was a black woman for the U.S. Supreme Court.
So then he became pressured. So hold on. So then he became pressured to put the black woman in after first saying just a woman, correct?
People can lobby for whoever they want, but it wasn't Joe.
Am I right or wrong?
People ask.
Am I right or wrong? You don't answer the question. They go to Kamala and answering the questions. Come on now. Am I right or wrong?
No, I'm saying what Joe Biden said.
But am I right or wrong?
People ask for there to be there, but that's not what Joe Biden said.
I'm correct. He got pressured.
Those are two different statements.
He got pressured to hire a black female to be the vice president, and he did. That's what he did. That's the reason why she's in there.
And then 81 million people voted for her.
No, they didn't. When?
In 2020.
They voted for Joe Biden, not Kamala Harris.
Okay, so I want everyone to remember the things that were just said. That he picked a black woman to be the vice president, right? And that he voted for Joe Biden and not Kamala Harris. So when we actually start to talk about issues, don't forget those points, because they'll be quick then to flip and say she should have done X, Y, and Z, but the people didn't vote for her. They voted for the president, right? Because she's the vice president and she can't do anything.
You still have duties
as
a vice president. You still have duties as a vice president, because aren't you the president of the Senate as well? You got the tie-breaking vote. Let's not play that game. Come on now. You do have.
Let's see what happens.
So you are an important person as a vice president. Let's not discount that. And furthermore, this whole thing about morality and all of that, who cares? We're talking about groceries are way too high. Housing is way too high. Look, When I bought my house in 2020, you needed $65,000 to be able to afford it on paper. $65,000. Now, this same house, $125,000 you need. 120. Things are way too expensive. Nobody cares about the sexuality part. Okay, that's not even really important. And also, as far as Trump, he's not been locked up or anything for rape. There's no rape conviction or criminal conviction. So regardless, you're talking about getting
found liable, but
it's not a criminal consent. Come on. Like
it's not a criminal case. Check this out here. We gonna close out on this one here because we actually got another very important topic we want to get to. I haven't.
I see this about to get hot.
Yeah, it's real interesting to me. I'm just surprised to see. I guess I'm surprised to see D1 up here on the side for Kamala. That's kind of interesting. And then he started off by saying he wanted to make a common sense. He wanted to bring some common sense to the conversation. And that's crazy to me, considering that there is nothing so far that I've seen that has been common sense about the way that the Harris campaign has run her campaign, and there is nothing common sense about anything that she has proposed. And we can't forget, first of all, I'm also neutral. I'm also neutral in this. So it's not like I'm a supporter of either candidate. But if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it, right? Because people have to make a decision tomorrow. And I think it's interesting that you have, these are the people, no offense to anybody, because I don't know D1 like that. I know just a bit about his music. He's a Christian rap artist, but it's funny that these are the people that they bring out in support of Kamala Harris. These are the types of people that we've seen. And it's always some question behind it. I don't know. I guess I keep waiting for someone reputable in this space. And so far, the people that are speaking out are what am I doing now? Now I'm taking like political advice from rap artists. I'm taking political advice from female rap artists. I'm taking political advice from Beyonce. Like, where are the reputable supporters? Where are the people who really have something intelligent to say? Why am I listening to these people? And why are these the people that you're using to represent your side of the conversation and your argument?
Yeah, no, they're definitely using some specific folks, but let me keep going.
Character, when you hear that people who tend to support Trump are saying, that doesn't matter, that speaks volumes.
But so why does it matter, though? Because at the end of the day, because the morality is not going to put money in your pocket. It's not going to put fruit in your refrigerator.
Brother, I'm going to listen.
If I'm getting evicted today, if I'm being evicted today, then why does the president's morality matter?
Listen, brother. First of all, you're not being evicted. So you talking.
It was a question. If I'm a person that's struggling, why does the character of the president?
Brother, I don't know nobody who was wealthy when Trump was president, when Donald was president. I don't know nobody that was wealthy then, that all of a sudden they're like, man, I'm hurting now. You hear me?
Well,
I'm
America agrees with you. And every single poll is higher with everyone says that they live better under, this is on all mainstream media, even though they lie about everything. Everyone said that he is the one that they lived better under him. The economy was better under him. So that may be your anecdotal.
That's yourself. That's your point of view.
So hold on. Let's actually let's close it. Let's close it out right here. We gonna get another one going. We got another question, because I think we see that at this point. I think that's the most important thing is you see that different people are weighing different values when they make a voting decision. Right? Some people are really looking at morality. Some people's like, no, I want somebody to just go in and get the job done. And even the chat is reflecting this. In fact, this next part of the conversation is equally just as important.
Well, a couple things. So first, I'm gonna do, guys. We got 2,600 people in the chat right now, so that just proves that this conversation is very important to us. And I'm gonna go ahead and close out this poll. So I dropped the poll earlier, guys. Can a conviction or criminal record be forgiven, or should voters take a stance against criminals? We got forgive, can't vote for criminals, and undecided. Guys, 57% of the people, this is 2,600 people in the chat, say forgive. We got another 19% at can't vote for criminals, and another 25% that's actually undecided. So D1, I think you might be speaking to those people. So I'm gonna close out that poll real quick. Now we had a couple super chats come in. Shout out to Azrael, first of his name. He says, if Kamala has to talk to Xi Jinping or Putin, she's going to start giggling and twerking out of nervousness. She shouldn't even pass the Kamala. That's apologies. She couldn't even pass the 2020 primary because she was unlikable. She was the border czar and failed. So this is a big conversation because this is how men are talking on the internet about Kamala. So this is very important that we talk about this. And then what's that other super chat? We got another one. Talks with P Mo. Any black man that's voting for Trump has mommy issues and misdirected anger. We could not have had any better super chat. This is literally the entire conversation.
Right.
We talk about men versus women. So let's go ahead and get into that conversation, Tyshawn.
Absolutely. In fact, we actually brought really it was a tweet that came up that's getting a lot of popularity because Waka Flocka Flame actually came out and endorsed Donald Trump. Let's actually pull that up so everybody can see it, because this discourse is really where we are. You can see it says Trump for president, let's go, by Waka Flocka Flame right under it. Why do you want him to be president? Are you intimidated by a woman president? Right. And a lot of the ladies are having this same sentiment, saying that men are intimidated by having a woman as a president. In fact, we can also say that Obama backed this statement in a recent statement that he made. Delano, can we actually go ahead and play that clip with Obama? Let's go ahead and get it played. It's muted here. Let's go ahead and get the sound for it.
And you got to update the color of them squares because they could be mad about that one.
Because
so can we start that over, Lana?
And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president.
Wow.
Okay. So
that's the former president accusing men of being
this.
sexist.
I was fired red hot when I saw that, because it's like, look, at the end of the day, I'm a grown man. If you want me to vote for someone, give me some good policy. Give me a good reason. Don't do no finger wagging. Oh, y'all brothers got to come out, all this, that, and the third. Don't do that. I don't like that at all. Even if I was kind of on the fence, like, I don't know, maybe Kamala, maybe not. That right there would push me all the way to the right. That'll radicalize me right there. Give me some policy. Don't just wag your finger. I hated that so much. And it wasn't just him. It was Kirk Franklin, the philandering, fornicating pastor. Not Kirk, not him. It was
Jamal Bryant.
Jamal Bryant, not Kirk. Shout out to Kirk.
Oh man, Kirk caught a stray. Don't let Kirk catch a stray in here, man. Let me ask a quick question. I actually want to go ahead. I want to get the question because we can see it here. This is a really good place to start because, I mean, do men really have an issue with seeing a woman as president? Is this a real issue?
Now, I've done, before I found my way into politics, I did relationship stuff. And so I studied the gender gap, and I talked about it for several years that you saw in the dating market that is absolutely insane. And it has started to, you can now see it with the election. People are now mainstream talking about the gender gap. But those of us who have been, in the trenches have seen this for a while. All across every Western country right now, you will see men have become more conservative and women have become more liberal. You see this the most pronounced in South Korea. This isn't an American thing. This is globally. And it comes to values. There's a lot that I can go into when it comes to, how men are having to deal with women, how society wants to feminize men. Masculinity is seen as misogyny now. And it's this, especially I would say in the Black community, there's this, Black women are goddess, queen, mother earth, and, Black men ain't ish. And there's a lot of dogging down of Black men and what they're not doing, and they're not good enough. And it's, women, the easy out, and this is what they always do when men speak up, for themselves or what they think or what they feel. Well, it's automatically labeled as misogyny, or women, it's like this hyper focus to find some nitpick that it must be that. And men are tired of it. Men want to be able to speak and say what they want. They want to be leaders in their household and communities. But it's this talking down to that you see coming from women and men like Obama. Obama has been speaking down to the Black community and Black men forever. It is just now people are noticing it. Tavis Smiley was the first person to call him out on this. And this is actually part of why Tavis Smiley was canceled. Same thing with Jesse Jackson. Everyone heard the clip where Jesse Jackson said he wanted to cut off Obama's, junk, but they did not hear the part that happened before this. This happens in mainstream media. They never play the full thing. Right before that, he said, I am tired of him speaking down to Black people. When he talks like that, it makes me want to cut his junk off. So we've even had Black leaders, Black men that have been speaking about this for a while. It's just now you are seeing his condescending tone because people are not mesmerized, by or just voting blue no matter who anymore.
I'll jump in. I think the question that I have is why haven't we had a female woman president? I mean, we've had enough. Any first world country at this point, many of them have elected a woman to be their leader. Many of them fared very well and had some of the best projections and still are having some of the projections with female leaders during the global pandemic and coming out of it in its recovery. I just always want to know why not? Like, not even just a Democratic woman president, why not even a Republican? And I don't ever like to speak in absolutes, but I would be silly, and I would think that no one on this panel doesn't think any type of misogyny exists. It doesn't mean everybody is misogynistic, but even the question was about her twerking. Like,
right.
I mean, come on, like I'm not making the words up. They're being said themselves. So, yeah, we all know she has a laugh. It was made fun of on Saturday Night Live. Why not just stop the question there? Why add a twerking in, which has a connotation that is disrespectful to women? So, I mean, I don't know if every man voting, I would probably guess that most men voting for Donald Trump are not doing it just because she is a woman. I like to talk about policy and the politics of it, but we can't act like it doesn't exist, because if that was the case, we would have had a female president by now.
Doesn't make any sense, because when has there actually been a good female presidential candidate to come forward ever in this country? Hillary Clinton, was that a good person? I mean, I saw the campaign in 2016. I covered
Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley
is a good, no, kind of a neocon. We don't really like her that much. So like there's not been a good female candidate to come forward. I'm not saying there can't be. To be totally honest, Michelle Obama would have been a great candidate, but I don't think she wants to do it. She's doing movies and whatnot. Yeah, she's chilling. She over at Netflix doing her thing.
So that's not her calling.
Yeah, exactly. Ministry. So they don't have anybody. That's the point. Kamala, you see how bad she is. And it's not even about her being a leftist or whatnot, just as a politician. Look, I respect the Obamas, Barack and Michelle. They are great politicians, amazing. Policies, not my thing. Politically, fantastic. Kamala has none of it. So if you want a female president, try putting somebody forward better than Hillary Clinton, who couldn't even get through the campaign without having to get Weekend at Bernie through the whole thing. And Kamala can't put two words together. They had that one first interview on CNN. He was in Atlanta in front of the studios for 6 hours, and she spoke for 18 minutes in the actual interview. Embarrassing. Maybe that's why.
I mean, we're talking about in the history of this country. We can cut out some of the years because women didn't even have the right to vote. So
when has there ever been a good female candidate to come forward?
But then they're like, why are we voting based on gender? I don't need you to look like me. I don't need you to have this ovaries in order for you to run this country. I'm not looking for identity in my president. I'm looking for who is the most qualified to run the country. Who do I think has the best policies? I don't care what you are.
Yeah, I want to say that real quick. Yeah, I'm definitely noticing how we are genderizing this election this time around, and trying to make it as if, you know what I'm saying, folks are not voting for Kamala because she's a female and all of that. So yeah, I definitely don't agree with that. Like I said, the policies definitely should be the priority. So we're gonna go with that.
I also want to know that, like, to me, right? I'm neutral in this. I really just want to hear from both sides. And I guess my issue is this. Like, why is it that when we hear people on the Democratic side that are speaking for and advocating for Kamala, it's always this emotion, feelings. Like, why is it that we have to go here? Why do we need a female candidate? We need the best candidate. It doesn't matter if she is female, if it's male, it doesn't matter. And the truth is, when have they produced a great female candidate? When have they done that? So I think that I will say, for everyone to say Trump and the whole moral ground and he's a convicted felon and this, that, and the third, like, I mean, we're talking about morality here. And Kamala, her biggest platform that she's running off of during this race has been about being able to, a woman's right to unalive babies. But we want to talk about morality. If we really want to talk about morality, why would that be the platform? Why would that be the hill that you want to die on for this campaign?
Yeah, no, I got you.
We have a comment here.
Voting for Donald Trump because he's white, you know, like, let's just acknowledge that it goes that way as well. There are, like, most black men are going to vote for Kamala Harris, but some black men who I've spoken to, because I've had these conversations without cameras, so there was no pressure for anybody to be performative. And some black men are taking out all of the issues that they have with their mamas, with their baby mamas, you heard me, with their exes, on Kamala Harris. And literally they're acting as if she's trying to get elected to be their wife instead of to be their president.
What? No, for real? I've never heard that before.
Hold on, wait. I want to let D1 finish the point here. D1, go ahead and carry through.
Yeah, like, this isn't a debate. I'm telling y'all real conversations I've been in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in Durham, North Carolina. These are forums, these are panels that I've been on. Like I said, they weren't televised. So, well, I'm a rapper. For most people watching this who know that I'm a hip hop artist, a college professor, like, I'm with students, I'm with young black men. These are my peers in what I do professionally. I'm telling y'all that there's a different standard to where a lot of people look at Kamala Harris as somebody who, well, we ain't get this as black men yet. We ain't get that as black men. One thing I've had to tell black men, and for anybody in the chat, we have to acknowledge this. We don't have a unified agenda as black men that we have ever said, as all black men in this country, here's what we want together collectively. I think it's kind of a myth to even think that that should exist because we're not monolithic as black men. But it's easy as a buzzword to be like, well, as black men, here's what we haven't gotten. But we...
Sorry about that, y'all. Real quick, Black Hawk. So I'm in the middle. I'm not on either side. But I do speak to what I feel is true. So I don't think either candidate has produced policies that are specific to Black people. I don't think we're ever going to get that from any candidate, regardless if they're African American and they identify as African American or not. However, the policies that I believe would be beneficial are Trump's economic policies, and his economic policies are the ones that won't just benefit us as Black people, but will benefit all people. So does he have any policies that are specifically beneficial for Black people? No, neither candidate does really. So, I mean, that's how I would answer that question. Like, his economic policies are geared towards making America's economy stronger, which we then benefit from. So that's how I would answer that question.
About a cosign from somebody who you don't even know on any level, but you're getting excited and you're pumping your fist. This is what I'm saying. Listen,
it don't matter if I don't know him. I support what he supports. We're on the same page. You're on the same page. That's why I'm pumping my fist.
Hold on, wait, guys.
Slow down.
Kamala had a Meg Thee Stallion concert in Atlanta. What are we talking about?
Let's bring up all the celebrities that we don't know.
Relax. Listen, that being said, keep in mind that some of the same Black people who are getting excited about a certain rapper maybe co-signing Trump, these are the same Black people who get excited about making and listening to music that is glorifying us, killing us, us selling dope to our own people, us disrespecting women constantly in the music. So I don't look at it like, oh yeah, Black people are just riding for Trump, because as Black people, we're not to be all put in one bucket. You know what I mean? Everybody, just because they're your skin folk don't mean that they're your kinfolk. So it's a serious matter to address.
What are you saying, bro? What are you talking about?
Cardi B? Did you see Cardi B give her speech? If we want to go there about music and glorifying, did you see Cardi B? Did you see the rappers that, Glorilla, Flo Milli, Megan Thee Stallion twerking on stage? On and on.
And let's get Ashley in on this as well.
Arguing against yourself.
Here's the difference. I'm not sitting here excited saying that's why we should vote for Kamala, is because
none of us are either. None of us are there. I don't know.
He got my same values, so I'm like, hey, that's good.
Hold tight, real quick. I gotta go ahead and get my sister Ashley in here. Ashley, what you got to say here?
Well, the conversation has turned a little bit less about her being a woman and more about what are we doing for Black people. I think, and Kamala Harris has said over and over that she wants to earn Black men's votes. So I want to tell you a little bit about what she wants to actually do for Black men. I will tell you, I think she is the first presidential candidate in the history of America to release an agenda just for Black men. Talking about
that agenda was fake, and that agenda is for everybody.
They say, and other Americans
came out and said it's for
hold
everybody.
on. Let her finish.
Hey, ABL, let's let her finish that thought first, and I want to let you guys come back in here. Ashley, go ahead. She was the first. You said she was the first president that released an agenda for Black men.
For Black men, yes, because she doesn't take the vote for granted. And when people was like, everybody's like, oh, I want policy. So in there is access to capital, because we know Black people don't have, like, we get 1% of venture capital, if that, and Black women get a 0.2% of venture capital access to money. It's talking about expanding government contracts for Black people. It's talking about creating pathways for Black men to become teachers and get into the classroom. Canceling student loan debt is for everybody, but hey, Black people got student loan debts, and for Pell Grants, a lot of HBCUs. We know Joe Biden has given more money to HBCUs than Donald Trump did, even though he likes to say he did. Joe Biden gave almost 7 times as much money to Black folks. So I will say, in this country,
you forgot some of the agenda. The weed.
Yes, actually, I wasn't actually finished. I wasn't
smoke
finished.
Weed and get crypto coins.
I wasn't finished. Actually, she did talk about legalizing weed, which is why it's really important, because if you actually go to the Pence Vance website and you look at what's on there in terms of criminal justice reform, they want to bring back stop and frisk. They want to federalize people who have conversations that might be involved with drug in the drug community. They want to bring.
What does that mean? Hold on. What does that mean? Conversations, like, what does that mean?
Yeah, like if you have people that are affiliated in the drug system in your community and you're there, because it's a federalized crime, you could be part of that RICO.
They're doing what? You're not giving me the full story.
That is the full story. That's the problem, is that
they're doing what?
Not breaking the law, but he would change. He wants to change the statute so that if you're even in proximity to someone selling drugs, that you could be a part of that RICO case.
That ain't nothing new. Everybody, that's regular. Like, okay, if somebody got a trap house and you there, you can get locked up too. Everybody know that. I don't want that.
And you okay with that?
That's nothing new. That's been going on. That's not Trump.
And you're okay.
I mean,
it's on his website.
ABL, are you okay with that, ABL?
I mean, look, if you're in the trap house, you know where you at, so you shouldn't be there.
It doesn't even have to be the trap house. It could be you're at your friend's house and the person who sells drugs, who's from the trap house, comes. This is what we're talking about.
Well, I don't hang around people that sell drugs. I don't hang around crack sellers. I don't hang around guys that sell fentanyl. I'm sorry. So
everything that they put out for Black people is just, all of us are just, we're all doing drugs, we're all criminals, we're all that. They don't speak to the middle class or the upwardly mobile Black person.
Everything I just said was about the middle class.
If you sell crack for a living, you're good.
Hold tight, ABL.
That agenda was not for Black men. So that is a lie. That is an outright lie, that agenda was put together for Black men. Not in the agenda itself, it says it's for others. The campaign came out and said it's for everybody. So how is that a specific agenda for Black men?
Well, if you know anything about the way the federal government works and the way federal statutes, you actually can't make things, it will be challenged in the court. You know how people don't want DEI, all the removal of like making sure everything is race neutral, making sure affirmative action doesn't exist. So you can't actually apply laws a lot of times in the federal government that are specific to certain constituencies.
They did it for Asian Americans. They did it for Native Americans.
But let me tell you,
Jewish Americans, but they don't do it for Black people.
The Asian American statute actually falls under the larger federal hate crime statute. So it just provided a very distinct protection to Asian Americans.
Then why lie and say it's for Black men? Why lie and say it's for Black men?
It's not a lie, because the application.
It's for Black men, but it's not just for Black men.
Can I finish?
That's what you're saying.
No, I didn't say that. That's what you said. What I am saying is that the application of it disproportionately will benefit Black men. And it was written in such a way, it was written actually by Black men. I know the men who wrote it, so that it would actually, when you look at the things like sickle cell and prostate exams and all of those things, those are issues that disproportionately affect Black men. So they talked about the things that Black men are disproportionately affected by, and they presented policy proposals. I'll just say, I'd love to see Donald Trump's blackmail plan.
Well, we know Kamala's is to lock up Black men in mass incarceration in California. It's to lock up parents for truancy. And every time she bring it up, she never clarifies her record. She'll say it's not true. People say it's not true. But then she doesn't give the specific numbers. Like, I just don't get the Kamala.
Now, Melody, actually, let's stop. Let's actually go into that, because just personally, I know that is something that a lot of Black men are concerned about. Because the whole aspect of mass incarceration, when you think about the like the state of our community, the Black community, actually, for many of us, we probably consider it a matriarch, because so many women have had to lead the community, because a lot of us credit that to mass incarceration and the prosecutors and all the policies and laws that were passed, which Kamala's thrown into that. Is it fair to attach mass incarceration and Black men getting locked up for petty crimes to Kamala?
When you look at the actual numbers, the people who were arrested when she was the district attorney are 1,500 for drug use. When you look at how many were Black men, it's 45. So it is below the national average for incarceration for Black men. But what's most importantly is that when you look at back when she was, remember, my career is in criminal justice reform. So there used to be a thing where you lock people up and you throw away the key. Well, what Kamala Harris did as one of the first district attorneys in the country, which other people started to jump on, is she started doing anti-recidivism and pro reentry programs, so that when you did serve your time and you came back into the community, you could get a job. You didn't have to worry about the box preventing you from not being hired because you had a formal felony conviction. You could find housing. You could have visits with your family. So that is a myth that has been out there. And unfortunately, to the Melody's point about TikTok, it's like, just because you got a microphone in front of your mouth don't mean you telling the truth. So we do need to do our research. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to come on to D1's point. There are a lot of undecided voters. And I just want you to go in, knowing the facts and not hearing he said, she said. Whatever you decide to do, I hope you vote, because that's what our democracy lives and breathes on. And I hope we accept the results of the election. But the fact that people are saying that Kamala Harris attacked and tried to over-incarcerate Black men is actually false. It is just not
now
true.
The other point was about the truancy thing that she did. So what was that all about?
So the truancy was, there was this high rate of children. I've done a lot of things. I got a lot of Black jobs out here. I'm a former school teacher in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. And when you teach, you know that you are supposed to keep daily attendance to make sure students were coming to school. What Kamala Harris found was that there was high truancy rates, that it was just fine. In the city, it was just acceptable. People just accepted the fact that Black students weren't going to class and just saying, like, as a city, whatever, they don't care about the Black kids. So Kamala Harris put a program together where she got strict with Black parents, or parents in general, if they had an ongoing, I think it was 30 days where they were missing school. If you miss school for 30 days, the likelihood that you will graduate from that grade, you will get set back. You won't be able to read at reading level, pass and go to college if you want to. If you don't have a 3rd grade reading level by the time you are in 3rd grade, you're going to already fall behind your peers. So that was a case to actually get Black kids in school to work with parents. Now, I know there's like one case out there that this woman did the commercial where she said she was arrested, but that also has been debunked.
You're speeding past the actual point. I want to know what was the plan? Like what did Kamala want to do to enforce the truancy situation? We got to get to that, to the core of it.
There were many steps. And the step that everybody talks about was that she arrested parents, and that's just not the case.
So basically,
she worked with parents.
So basically, the threat was
I said there was
parents. The threat was the parents are going to get locked up for their kids being truant. Now, I've never in my life heard about somebody getting locked up for truancy, and it wasn't. It's the parents getting locked up because the kids are truant. And furthermore, if the kids are not going to school for that long, they're not learning anything at all anyway. They need to be going to a trade school or something like that. I would advocate for more of those.
They're in the 3rd grade.
It don't matter.
Special about this, and they featured parents who this happened to under Kamala Harris. I was shocked.
Black parents.
Shocked about this.
Black parents got locked up because of Kamala Harris.
Parents as well that this happened to.
I think it's crazy that the fact that we want Black kids to actually go to school and get an education is controversial right now. But
so we're gonna lock Black parents up, so that's fine. That's fine. The parents getting locked up, the Black parents getting locked up is fine.
So
but
guys,
that wasn't what happened.
So nobody got locked up.
I could say one did. Yeah.
So hold on, wait. And D1, you've been quiet for a while. I'm gonna let you close this one out because I want to go ahead and get over to our last round before we let actually the callers come in and give us.
I just want to ask a quick question too. Like, for those of you, because once again, we need to state this for anyone who just tuned in. We are neutral. So there is no Democratic side, Republican side in this conversation on our end. However, I am curious. This whole election has me curious. What made you choose? Anybody who's willing to give like a quick, just like what made you choose the party affiliation that you are currently affiliated with? Because if I'm to be honest, Democrat was just something that was in that I would have potentially inherited. I would have inherited that from family, from how I grew up, from the area I grew up in. I would have just automatically inherited the Democratic Party without even truly knowing what the Democratic Party stands for. And I think that's why this is so interesting to me, because instead of voting for candidates based off their own individual platforms, we end up voting for according to party, right? And we just automatically assume because it's the Republican Party, they mean this. And because it's the Democratic Party, they mean that. Instead of us picking a candidate based off of what their moral principles, standards, and policies strictly, just that. And I see that people are choosing a party and affiliating with a party. And I feel like a lot of people are doing it because that's what was inherited and that was passed down to them. So prove me wrong, somebody in the comments.
That he would codify Roe v. Wade. And
hold on, wait. Guys,
did he do it?
Hold on, wait. We're gonna
talk about this.
I really want y'all to slow it down right here because we actually y'all taking us into our final topic, because that is what we about to actually go ahead.
And Ashley, how you looking on time, Ashley?
I got.
Oh no, Ashley, we're gonna start here with you. Okay,
not gonna love you like we love you.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, Ashley, literally
I'll give you 13.
Thank you.
So guys, I'm gonna go ahead and close out this poll real quick. Do men have an issue with a women president? We got absolutely and no, this is false. So the people have spoken. We got over 1,500 votes, 3,500 people in the chat. No, this is false, and that's at 60%. I'm gonna go ahead and run through quite a few of these super chats. We got purpose over potential. That's what they always do. Tell you what they gonna do and do nothing. Just like Obama, they are puppets. Trump 2024, at least he does what he says he gonna do. We got K-Ann. Shout out to K-Ann, who's been a member and moderator for 16 months. That's like record breaking. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for your vote. There's pros and cons to each side, and a man cannot say which is more godly, love and miss you. Shout out to Sharika Nicholson. First of all, how does a pastor align themselves with a person who condones abortion and homosexuality? As a Christian, I'm not going for Kamala and her policies suck. And the last one I'm gonna read until we get to the rest. MTS 1686 says you will never be able to legislate morality.
And there we have it. Taking it into round 3, we probably only got 12 minutes from my sister, so I'm going to get us into this conversation so we can get your perspective. And family, send your super chats in. All over 20 we'll read, and we'll bring you guys up for your perspective at the end of this conversation. We just had the conversation of abortion with the prophetess. Tiffany Montgomery came on here with Bev Tucker this past Wednesday. Very, very polarizing episode. They pissed a lot of people off and they made a lot of people happy. That's kind of happened when you talk. What happens when you talk politics? They made a statement about abortion that I think is very important for us to hear as we go into this. Delano, take us over into that statement.
In the Bible, there is a God named Moloch, lowercase g. Moloch is spoken about in the Old Testament, Old Covenant, and also in the New Testament, New Covenant. He's talked about in both covenants. Moloch was the god in the Bible that was assigned to kill your children as a sacrifice. Maybe you wanted more money, maybe you wanted love, maybe you wanted fame or fortune. You sacrificed this child. Well, you may say, well, Tiffany, I'm not doing it for this. Well, if you said I can't afford to have this baby and you had an abortion, you sacrificed it for the money. If you say my career's really taken off and I can't really use a baby, you have now sacrificed your child for fame, influence, and to be well known. You did the same thing that they did in the Bible. Nothing is different. With that being said, there was always a consequence to the action.
All right, let's pause it right there. This is important. Okay, this is very important because what essentially Tiffany is saying, that most abortions are happening because people are selfishly just having casual sex, and they're just having using abortions as birth control.
Yeah, this one everybody fighting over right here. Let's see how this go.
What if I'm raped? I don't want to have the baby of someone who rapes me. No. What if it's between me and the life of my child? You can't take abortions away.
Also, it's my body, my choice.
It's my body, it's my choice. I actually pulled some studies just to get some context on this confirmation from this conversation. A 2004 study from Gudemacher, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Institute found that approximately 4% of women cited health concerns, either their own or the fetuses, as the primary reason for seeking an abortion. So it's about 4%. Wasn't a huge amount. And the CDC reported that in 2019, 0.2% of women obtaining an abortion cited rape as the primary reason. And 0.3 cited incest. So it's interesting. A lot of these issues that's brought up is no really data to support that that's happening in large numbers. But what I want to talk about is just our abortions. Is it a healthcare issue with our women, or is it just a form of birth control now in our society? And I'll start here with you, Ashley, since I know you have limited time.
Well, we started this conversation saying that morals weren't going to be a determining factor, but often when we then enter the conversation of abortion, it's the first thing that people lead with. So I like to be consistent. I am a proponent for pro-choice, that it is a woman's right to choose, and that no person should have any say over any person's body, not a man's body and not a woman's body. And that's, it is a form of access to care. And we have seen since Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2020, that the amount of miscarriages that have led to women not being able to have children in the future because of the 1 in 30 women live in a state with an abortion ban. It is a form of healthcare. It is a form of that it needs to be accessible to people. So I am fundamentally in support of a woman's right to choose, and you make your personal choice what is right for you. We also know the story of Amber Thurman, that she was beginning to have a miscarriage, and Amber, a Black woman from Georgia, is no longer with us because she had to travel across state lines. She couldn't get access to care. It's also putting people, physicians, in this predicament when their patients come in to seek health care, to see what's happening to them. They are in a state like Texas at risk of facing criminal prosecution for potentially offering care. So a lot of the consequences that people have warned about would happen if Roe has been overturned, we are seeing them come to life. Melanie is right. Obama said that he was going to codify Roe. We understand you need to have a 60 vote threshold. And it is very hard to codify Roe when that was still the law of the land. Many people are disappointed that he didn't do that. But the fake case of the matter is that Donald Trump overturned Roe. And to D1's point is he is talking out of two sides of his mouth on this issue. He knows that it is extremely polarizing for women. White women historically have voted more Republican leaning. But this election, we are seeing this massive gender gap because to have a constitutional right taken away from you is gutting. And so we'll see tomorrow, but we do believe that a lot of women are leaning towards Harris, independent Republican women, because of the decision of Roe v. Wade being overturned. And that is also why we know in 2020, when so many Republicans predicted a red wave would come, it didn't happen because people were so frustrated. So I think it should be your own personal decision with you, your partner, and your doctor. And no one on this call should really have any say of what I do in my personal life.
Wow.
There you have it.
Yeah, I just dropped a poll, guys, because I'm very curious what you guys think. Should abortion access be banned? Yes, no, undecided.
Anybody got anything to follow up here? I know this is a touchy subject here, and this is the quietest it's been this whole time. What we got?
Yeah, I want to jump in. So the thing about abortion, like the question you just put up, Ryan, I mean, I don't think it should be banned, but I don't think it should be just you can have abortion up until the point of birth. I'm from Virginia originally. When I left, Ralph Northam just became the governor in 2018. And he was on tape talking about, well, after the baby's born, we're going to put the fetus aside and see what we're going to do with it. They're talking about abortion up until the point of birth, up until 9 months. I agree with Trump when I say the 3 exceptions: rape, life of the mother, incest. I believe in that. There should also be like maybe a 10-week limit, maybe 10 to 15 week. I'm not an extremist person. Getting rid of Roe v. Wade was good because it was no longer a federal government type thing. It's an individual state. So if you're living in California and you want to have an abortion up until 9 months and y'all want to vote for it, go ahead. You'll have even more access to the so-called healthcare that you like. And then there's no more back and forth about, okay, the federal government says this. Nope, your state, you decide, you have better control over abortion. Furthermore, what is the baby inside of you? Is it a baby or not? We can talk about my body, my choice. Well, the baby is a human being as well. Baby has a body. Furthermore, any Christian advocating for abortion just willy-nilly, and it's not a healthcare issue, they said it.
Real quick, that's what I always want to wonder, right? Like when we talk about my body, my choice, like why are we not talking about the fetus, right? That is inherently a person. Like, what about their choice? Like, do they not get a choice? When we talk about morality, we're going to talk about Trump and his personality, and he crazy and he's a felon. And I just want to know, like, okay, all of those things. All right, fine. Y'all got it. Okay. He act crazy. He say crazy things. He's a felon with all of this, but we're just going to skip over the part where women are justifying, and the Harris campaign is justifying unaliving babies all the way up until 9 months. Like at that point, that is a fully developed child. What about his or her body?
The fetus at a later stage. Those are the most extreme, heartbreaking cases. I did hear that clip. It was like what he said and what is actually what happens were inconsistent. It was like a bad political.
Oh, you're all good. Yeah, like I said, I think, you know what I'm saying, they're putting it all on the table. So it all needs to be weighted. It all needs to be touched. You know, those folks got to make an informed decision.
The care of the baby who will not survive out of utero, and they don't want the individual to suffer. So I do think like sometimes it's important. I know this is a heated topic, but it is also about respecting the science that exists as well in these instances. So.
Well, I mean, I agree with you as far as the 3 instances: rape, life of the mother, incest. I agree with that. But at the same time, we got some really extreme people that say up until the point of birth. Not everyone, but that is a thing. And that's the problem, is people that are just regular, normal people who don't believe in the crazy extremes and the extremists. You know what? Okay, let your state decide. If you're living in California and you want to be an extremist and the majority of your neighbors want the same thing, then go ahead and have it. Problem solved.
Ashley, what I want to do is, I know you got to get out of here. So I want to first off, thank you for coming on here and having this conversation with us.
Glad we got you today.
And then I want to just roll out the red carpet to let you know you're always welcome back, because these are important conversations. Obviously, we're not going to be able to, in an hour and 15 minutes, change the world. But there probably was a couple people listening that you were able to give a bit of understanding to, which is the purpose of this conversation. So thank you very much. And you're always welcome to come back to Harley Initiate. Okay.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Absolutely. Right. What I want to do now, my sister Melanie here, I want to make sure I get Melanie's perspective.
My patients trust me to give them the facts. And the fact is,
okay, so what do you think about the first half of this so far?
Say it again.
What do you think about the first half of this so far? Do you think that we've actually been able to really talk about the issues and give people real sound, like information to move forward with? People have to make a decision tomorrow.
Yeah. I think that's a part of the issue, this particular election. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of identity politics going on. There's a lot of feelings wrapped in it. You're not hearing that many concrete policies, concrete facts. Yeah, I think that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? When you have an election that's emotionally led or gender led, or, I'm hearing these statements about men having a problem with a Black woman being president and all of this.
Intimidated.
It's like we're looping in. Yeah, that's gender war talk. It's like we're looping in all of these things. And it's like it's overshadowing what are the actual policies, who are the policies actually going to benefit, what is the benefit of me voting for this candidate versus this candidate? Like that stuff is getting lost in the sauce. But I will say this, I will commend them for even having this conversation. A lot of folks, they just fighting and arguing, but they, you don't get anywhere. So I will commend them for even having this conversation and getting this panel together.
And I would say if there's anyone in the comments who actually has some beneficial information to share, honestly, like if there is something that you feel is very instrumental in someone understanding about the nature of either of these candidates, then please, by all means, share it so that we can have that conversation, so that can be brought to the forefront. Because at the end of the day, we need to cut through all of the BS, and people need to understand what it is about these candidates that should have them going to the polls to vote for said candidate. Like, it's been a lot of fluff, it's been a lot of mudslinging, but it hasn't been enough focus on the policies themselves. So by all means, this is interactive. So if you have something to share, please drop it in the comments.
She actually tried to do it herself. She was kicked out of her home, and then she was taken in by nuns into a home. That's what they would find, a home for confined, a home of confinement. Nuns would take in young girls who were kicked out because it didn't matter if you were violated or not. The fact that you were pregnant, you were gone. And so I have a complicated history with that. For me, I do believe it needs to go to the states. I do believe there need to be exceptions. This is my issue, though. Most are using it as birth control. They don't really want to use the birth control. I would say they see it as the easy out. Like, it doesn't matter. I can just, if something happened, I can easily get birth control and it won't be a problem. And you see this. I even did a video a while back where actually probably 2 years ago, where this rapper, she was outside of Planned Parenthood with her friends, half naked, twerking, talking about, this ninja nutting me, I'm going to kill this, thing. And she actually spells it ABORTION, like celebrating abortion. You hear, it's become a cultural thing and it's no big deal. And so for me, it is disgusting in how it's been, the access to it, what it has done. I do believe most states will end up voting for abortion so that women can have it. And I think that's the right move to make. But again, the exceptions are so small. You know what I mean? They're so small. In any case they're bringing up, they're not really valid. So it's an issue that I just think people, killing a child is just seen as no big deal. They don't really care about it at all. And it's so preventable. It's just, I don't know.
Like Melanie, let me add some stats for you, because personally, it's I think probably hit our community the hardest as well, because when you look at the stats, I found something here that said the CDC reported in 2021 that Black women accounted for 41.5% of abortions in the U.S. If you use that number consistently along the just the years, just to try to get an estimate of how many babies that is since we were allowed to have abortions, you could just estimate that we've aborted probably about 25 million Black babies, and that's I'm sure it has an impact. And I have a similar story. My mom, actually, I'm not sure if you hear, Ma, I love you if you are. Probably gonna get a little personal here, but I actually said it before, but she actually recently admitted to me, probably 3 months ago. I never knew this, but my mom told me that she actually was also assaulted, and here I am the result. So when you talk about and listen, I understand a woman saying, I don't want to get raped and have to have a baby. That's a very practical thing to not want to put yourself through. But again, as people who understand life, and especially if you're a believer, you just kind of understand that it really is these mysterious ways. Because thank God my mom still went through and had me regardless, because we wouldn't be all here having this conversation today.
Absolutely.
Everybody wouldn't have been impacted by Hardly Initiated and whatever else other impact I'm going to have further in this world. So it's a very touchy topic, but I do understand the sentiments on both sides. I'm just not with it being birth control. As somebody who was a part of casual sex culture, and I know guys who still are, a lot of us are literally having casual sex within mind. As soon as, if anything were to happen, literally the next step is abortion. That's how we handle it. Mm-hmm. Abortion is the new condom, unfortunately. And that's how it's being,
Glad he being honest about that. That's a big point. I'm glad he being honest about that.
If you let people drink alcohol, now you're gonna have alcoholics. But do I ban alcohol? How do we handle that? So it's a very tricky and touchy issue. But D1, I didn't really get your thoughts on this one here, and we're gonna circle back around, Ryan, to the point that you had brought up prior. But D1, what's your thoughts on this?
For sure. I think when Anthony started out, he made a good point that I've been holding on to about. He was saying that he's not Christian because he feels like there's a lot of flip-flopping on this issue and a lot of hypocritical dialogue around this issue inside of Christianity. And I agree, because I think that the problem with a lot of Christians when it comes to abortion is people want to try to legislate morality. And you can't legislate morality. Everyone who is on here trying to talk about, abortion is something that people are just running to, and if they got easy access to it, they're going to do it. Like, it's still a decision that they're making. And if people, as Christians, we have to not be so susceptible to saying, we just feel like abortion is the problem, because prior to abortion, oftentimes was premarital sex. But I don't hear anyone talking about fornication being the issue that we need to deal with. That's a matter of the heart. You feel me? That's a decision that people make that leads to them saying, oh, this casual sex led to where I'm having an abortion. And people tend to want to.
That's a lie. But every time we talk about the root of the problem, nobody wants to, they're not ready for that conversation. We're always talking about people having too much SDX out here, but nobody wants to talk about that part of the conversation. They only want to talk about the consequences.
If God wanted to, he could have saved himself a lot of headache and a lot of hurt by saying, I'm not going to give them free will. I'm not going to allow them to do what they want to do in life. I'm not going to allow them to make choices on a daily basis. I'm going to just create them, but they have to basically be robots the way I want them to be. But God allows us this free will. And with that being said, we think about that and it's like, okay, if God has given us free will, God is showing us that it's not about do the right thing according to the fact that I'm making you do it all the time. It's, I want your heart to be to where even if you have the choice to sin on a daily basis, your love and admiration and surrendering of your free will to me, to my will, is what you want to push forward with. So that's the God that we serve. And this is as a Christian, me speaking. And ironically, right before this, I just posted some on my Instagram page, and it was something that felt like a breath of fresh air in this super contentious time of election season, even in the Christian community where a lot of Christians are at war with one another. A lot of people are just looking to get mad at another Christian. Like, wait, you're voting for this person? That means you're for killing babies. And it's like, let's be honest. Neither candidate is running on an agenda to say, hey, we want to totally, like, completely ban abortion, period. Like, abortion at any stage or any level is wrong. That's simply not a fact. But what I'm wanting all Christians, anyone who is a believer, and that's why I respect what Anthony said earlier, because he's like, yo, I don't identify as Christian, so this might not apply to him. But this pastor named Brian Zahnd, he wrote something called the Christian Voters Guide, because there's no way that Christians should start being at war with each other and beefed out behind, you voted for this candidate, I voted for this candidate. Although we serving the same Jesus, we can't coexist anymore. It shouldn't be like that. And I want to read y'all what he said for the Christian Voters Guide. This is extremely, extremely powerful. This is amazing. He said, number one, the political process, while necessary, has little to do with how God is saving the world. Number two, the fate of the kingdom of God does not depend upon political contests. Number three, don't be naive. Political parties are more interested in Christian votes than they are in Christian values. Number four, the bottom line for political parties is power. The bottom line for a Christian is love, and therein lies the rub. Number five, while in pursuit of the ring of power, you are not permitted to abandon the Sermon on the Mount. Number six, if your political passion makes it hard for you to love your neighbor as yourself, you need to turn it down a notch. Number seven, your task is to bring the salt of Christian civility to an ugly and acrimonious political process. Number eight, to dismember the body of Christ over politics is a grievous sin. Number nine, exercise your liberty to vote your conscience and conviction, while accepting that other Christians will do the same and vote differently than you. And finally, number 10, it's more important that your soul be filled with love than it is for your political team to win the game. And that right there, as a Christian, that's something that really is important to make sure that we don't allow this process to make us feel like, if you voting for this person, you're not Christian. Or if you voting for this person, you don't love God the same way I love God, because that means that you're for killing babies, or you're for, you don't like this race. Or
so my only issue with that is, okay, no, I don't think that we should continue the divisiveness of this, whether it's men and women or this religion or that religion, non-Christian, not Christian. But to say that a person isn't going to vote their morals is crazy, because we just had a conversation earlier about Donald Trump not being a good moral choice. So I guess I'm confused. It's very hypocritical.
Said was some pastor giving word salad points that, in my opinion, really didn't nail down anything. Like this move the conversation ahead.
That's the problem.
It's not a problem.
That's the problem.
What you just said. Does anybody even understand one point? Could anybody repeat back what he said, or does it sound like Kamala in one of her word salad speeches?
That's the problem. Y'all listen. Some of y'all, unfortunately, have turned this political race and these political parties and these candidates into idols, to the point where y'all mention Trump and y'all mention Jesus.
But no, it's not even about that. It's not even about that.
Generalities about everybody else. You seem to want to judge everybody else's Christianity and their religious walk. That is not your place.
I need to be like a cogent point.
Where their walk is, or where their heart is, or that they see Trump as Jesus. Let's get some real policy points and not this touchy-feely spiritual word salad that you're putting out there. It makes no sense. It's not moving the needle. Let's move on.
Baby, my spirit is irritating your demons. That's the
problem. No, you but see, look, your demons. Hold on. Melanie, hold on. G-Wayne.
Oh
listen,
my God.
That's the problem.
Okay.
Literally.
Wait.
I'm literally saying how Christians need to stick together even amidst this. And the first thing come out your mouth is word salad. That just don't even work.
No, I think she's saying get to the policies, man. That's what she's saying.
Right. And as a Christian, I tend to agree. Like so first of all, basically you just told us that we need to follow the commandment that says love our neighbor. Okay. So you did all of that in those points. And I'm not saying that the pastor that wrote that didn't have great intentions when he wrote it. And I'm not saying that he didn't make valid points. I'm simply saying in this particular election, the whole thing has been about morality. The whole thing has been about pitting one person against the other. The whole thing has been that. And he has spent a lot of time telling Christians that they're wrong for feeling this way or for feeling that way. Meanwhile, I'm right, you're wrong. Is that not still more of the pitting one against the other? In your way of telling us that we shouldn't be doing that, you're doing the very thing that you're telling us that we shouldn't be doing. It's hypocritical. And unfortunately, I find that people that are on that speak up for and advocate for Kamala tend to do this at some point in their conversation.
Yeah, we got to get back to the policies. Yeah, that's
everything. Reading down the list at 10 points, I'm like, my man, you're not saying anything. And this right here is part of the reason, another reason why I'm not Christian, because you go to church and you hear this kind of pastoring and it's nothing. People that want to go feel good and they want to hear things and make them feel nice and warm and fuzzy and stuff like that. They get this kind of information. But a man like me and a lot of my friends and women, we don't like that. We're not trying to go hear some talking guy just, kind of pimp at us. We want to hear is real stuff, real substance. What you said lacked substance.
That's why
Christian
men have left
or no
the church.
Christian. Exactly.
So it's not about whether or not what he said made sense. That's what they're saying on the panel, that it didn't make sense to them. Maybe it didn't because maybe they're not Christians. I don't really know their religious affiliation. But as a Christian, it's not that what he said didn't make sense. It's just that what he's saying, it feels very hypocritical, because if you've been watching this debate from the very beginning, he's done some of the very things that he just read those talking points are speaking against. That's my point. So it's not that it didn't make sense. It's just that you can't pull that out when you see other people doing it, but then you don't then use that same thing to govern the way you behave.
So at this point, we have completely, guys, we gotta, because now, guys, hold tight, guys, because guys,
hold tight, man.
At this point, we're hold on, D.
Hold tight, D1.
Because right now we're not even at this point. We have completely exited all substance. We literally just talking back and forth at each other. And what I want to do at this point is I want to get the community involved, because we went through three major topics that's happening. Tomorrow, people are heading down to the polls, and the purpose of this is to give people some insight, some education, and give them some information that's going to help them make the best decision at the polls tomorrow. So actually, let's do two things. One, let's do one thing here. Let's drop a poll to ask who our people are voting for. Two, let's actually go ahead and put the Zoom link, because I want my people to come backstage. This is going to be rapid fire, very briefly. Okay, I want you to be brief and brilliant, not tell me your life.
And you got to tell them exactly what you want from them, because I'm getting ready to drop that in there. And yeah,
absolutely.
And be patient with us, guys. We doing the production. We got all these people in there. Lano, take your time, because we want people to look good. So take your time and do your thing.
Absolutely. But what I want you to do is literally,
link, to the top.
I just want you to tell me who you are voting for and why. Be brief and brilliant. You will have no more than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And we will go ahead and go to the next person. I'm going to just bring a couple people up, and that's how we're going to close out tonight's show.
Yeah.
First of all, I appreciate everybody. Again, this was a passionate discourse. That's what I expect. Nonetheless, we talking politics. But again, thank y'all, every single one of y'all, for coming up.
And real quick, I'm not going to drop that poll. I'm just going to close it out. We're done for the polls today. This was the last one. Should abortion access be banned? 57% of people, this is 16 to 7, this is pretty much 1,700 votes. 7% of people say yes. You got 30% at no, and then you got another 14% at undecided. So it looks like, I'm assuming without those three major things, exceptions that we talked about, people looking to ban abortion. But this is something that is going to be taken care of on the state level. So I'm going to close that poll out, and then I'm going to go real quick to some super chats. Don't forget, guys, we highlighting super chats, but it's really over $20, guys, because super chats is really going nuts. I'm even having a hard
And that was interesting that they ran that poll and 57% of the folks said that deletion should be banned. That's interesting to hear that.
Oh, I missed the stat. It was 57%
Yeah,
that said it should be or shouldn't
said
be.
that they should be banned. All right, let me get back to it.
What's up? How are you?
What's going on? I love you guys.
Wait, hold on, wait. You got somebody?
No.
You got the wrong person unmuted. Look, everybody backstage need to mute. Yeah. You not the one who talking backstage. That's up right now.
And Audrey, you coming in with the smoke. They got the blue around you, so I think we know your political.
Make sure you unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm unmuted. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
Sure
do me a favor. Give me your name, your age, and your location.
Okay, my name is Audrey. I'm in Atlanta and I'm 27.
All right. Who you voting for?
I'm certainly voting for Kamala. To me, there's no other option. And I didn't really have a question, but I watched.
What you got
it's so who you voting for and why? That's pretty much it.
Oh, perfect. Okay. There we go. I was about to ask what were we supposed to be saying? I'm voting for Kamala because even if I didn't want to vote for Kamala, I haven't heard them say a single thing that would move the needle for Trump. Kamala, to me, is the only one who has presented a plan for Black men, even if other candidates, the previous presidential candidates over the course of the history of our country, they've never even presented, like Melanie said, a fake plan for Black men. So even if, Kamala's plan for Black men was fake, no other candidate has ever presented a fake or real plan for Black men. Kamala is the only candidate that actually has any type of integrity. Kamala is the only candidate that actually has been a lifelong politician who's genuinely qualified to be a president or any type of political leadership. And I don't understand how someone with a history like Donald Trump has since the 1970s, he has a history of being racist, especially towards Black people. His track record proves that, from the housing discrimination that he did to the 5 Black men that he took out news, pages for to accuse of something that they didn't do, from the comments that he made about the Charleston guy, called him fine people for literally harming and being violent to citizens who were peacefully protesting, even to now calling Kamala's brain small and insulting her intelligence simply because she's running against him.
There we go.
Shows that.
Hold on, wait. We got.
Okay, I'm done.
I got to. You at your 30 seconds. Actually, a little bit more. But I wanted you to get that off your chest there.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Audrey, for coming up here and letting us know who you voting for. Go ahead, Ryan.
And we'll give the panelists, we'll choose a panelist to go ahead and talk about that in a second.
Okay.
I just want to. Matter of fact, Melanie, you was making so many faces on that one. How do you respond to what Audrey has just said?
It was just. I mean, it just speaks to how Democrats have always operated. Even if it's a fake plan for Black men, at least she lied to their faces and pandered and finessed and scammed for votes. What? Like, that's the criteria now, that it was insulting. And the fact that it's okay to come up with a fake, to scam for votes, to finesse Black men, I think is outrageous. But this is what the Democrat Party has been doing for years, making promises every 4 years and never fulfilling anything. They have been scamming and finessing the Black community for votes. And it's almost like she's been programmed to say, yeah, that's okay.
Too much TV.
At least she respects Black men enough to lie to them to their face.
Wow.
So we got somebody else back here. Ryan, you want to get some super chats in before we go to the next one?
Shout out to Purpose Over Potential again, going crazy tonight. We appreciate you. D1 pretty quiet is given he doesn't believe his own stance. Can we debate why D1 is voting for a president that supports transgenders and abortions, but he claims to be Christian? Very interesting. Shout out to Danny Shea. He says 85,000 babies are aborted monthly. Of those, 40% are by Black women. Black only make up 8% of the Black population. Abortions are up 12% since handing Roe v. Wade back to the state. Women need better management. Shout out to KN again. We love you, KN. When abortion happens late term, it's a terminal diagnosis. Christians generally want to pray for a miracle, but science-believing folks want to lower risk of carrying a baby that will die soon after birth anyway. This is my last one before we introduce the guest we just brought up. Shout out to Kenny 3 Sacks. According to the CDC, Black people are 14% of the country, but Black women lead all races at 38% of all abortions in the U.S. How can you have generational wealth with no generations? We are voting for our own genocide. Very interesting. Let's announce next year.
Absolutely. We got you on here, brother. Go ahead and give me your name, your age, and your location.
What's going on, everybody? Appreciate y'all for having me on. My name
Absolutely.
is Isaiah. I'm 25 and I'm from Georgia, and I will be casting my vote for Donald Trump.
Okay,
Wow.
there we go. Look, one sister already went for Kamala,
Change
and then
that little ring to red on the.
we got Donald Trump, and we got my brother here coming up for Donald Trump.
Now, that's fine. I ain't worried about the color too much, man.
It's all good. Tell me why.
Well, one of the main reasons why, and like I said, I'm only 25, but what I try to do for the most part is really do a lot of reading and research. So when it comes to Donald Trump, one thing that I researched is that he actually has done a lot with Black people and very prominent figures in our community, such as Jesse Jackson, Nelson Mandela, and also Mike Tyson. But that's just celebrities. You know what I'm saying? As far as like with the housing development and the plans that he's had, I think it was exactly for the Trump Tower. The lead director was a woman. And I think it was about like 30-something% of the people that were employed were Black people. And the fact that he hasn't mentioned that just shows to me his humility. You know, so I really do think that he's really not doing this for himself. He's a billionaire, could have been on the boats, could have been chilling anywhere that he wanted to. But he chose to run for 8 years while being criticized. And like for the most part, he's really been demonized and dehumanized in every aspect that I've seen. And I just don't feel that it's really fair.
There you have it.
So yeah, that's why I'm voting for.
There you have it. Well, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you for coming up here and sharing. And already I'm already seeing a pattern. I told Delano just now, I want to see if we could bring a man and a woman on. Only gonna bring a couple more. I want to just keep flip-flopping because I want to see if we can see a pattern here. But go ahead.
Look, I would say, I most definitely I rock with you, D1, even though we're like obviously on political opposites, but everything that you're doing with like the Platinum Pledge, like I've even seen a couple of your posts that you made online. Bro, I love your work. Like I said, and I even agree with you. This should not separate Christians, but I think there is a very, very, very clear divide as far as when it comes to the politics on these things. And we should be able to, on both sides, have a decent conversation to where we can hear each other out instead of calling each other names and doing things like that. So I do appreciate y'all for coming up here.
Hey, man. I'll vote this brother right here. I'll vote this brother.
I just want to, because I'm getting all kind of texts, folks text me. I just want to ask, a couple people want me to ask you. One, do you believe in marriage? And two, do you believe in 100% provision from the man?
I most definitely believe in marriage. And as far as like 100%, I think if it's something that you can do, you should do. But if you can't, as far as for something to work towards, that should most definitely be the idea. Because
to an extent, like
with gender roles, I think things do function much better when the man is providing for the most part financially, because the woman, in a sense, she can really be able to support more in a way where she's not worried about finances. So I feel like that's just a completely different level of support.
No, we got it. Thank you for being brief and brilliant on that one. Like, why the hell did you ask that question?
Well, see, the reason why I asked that because I'm just looking at the chat. I'm getting text messages. The ladies are blowing my phone up. They're like, "Hey, Black men in mass don't believe in marriage, and Black men don't believe in paying the bills. So how can you align with conservatism if you don't?"
Cap. Black men do believe in marriage, and Black men do believe in paying bills. We got to stop this,
crazy. Man. But you see how you see the divide that it's causing? That's how women feel. That's why they feel like that men are voting the way they're voting because of intimidation.
Yeah,
well, men are voting the way they're voting because of the policies.
Yeah, there's gender war wrapped up in this election, and that's why I said that's a problem. Yeah, we got to keep it on the election.
Guys as LGBT, that's 100% Trump supporters. Like, so you can have whatever kind of lifestyle you want to live at the house. That's your life. You do your thing. We're talking about policy. That's something totally different.
And why, Melanie, why do you think, or D1, why do you think those things are all kind of thrown together? When people speak, because when people speak, say, "Hey, you're a conservative," they assume, "Hey, it's also all of these lifestyle things included in the way that you vote as well."
I mean, I think it's because, they always tie it to like Christian values. You will see more Christians being, especially white evangelicals being Republican, and they assume that Republican means conservative. These are actually different terms that have been blended together. It's not the same thing. But I will say, if we want to get into should men pay all the bills and should they do this, that, and the other, I mean, that's the whole, I cut my teeth in the whole dating market, and I was a mentee of Kevin Samuels. So that may not be where we want to go right now.
She said, y'all already know where I stand.
Right.
So check it out. I actually got my sister here. What's up with you, sister? How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
I'm blessed. Give me your name, your age, and your location.
I'm Nastasia. I'm 34. I'm actually in Europe right now.
Woo!
Oh, it's nighttime over there.
Nastasia, wait, you got a citizen? Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
Okay, I got you. So who you voting for?
I would be voting for Trump.
Whoa! Wow. We got a woman voting for Trump. See, I thought she broke the pattern. Okay, and why is that?
Yeah, multiple reasons. Well, one of the reasons is that God already showed.
I'm a 2-time Trump voter, and I am voting.
Jackie, don't nobody want to hear about this. I really wanted to see what she was going to say about why she's voting.
Chris. Right? So, my brother up here with the hat on, sorry, I don't know your name.
ABL.
But I know you're not a Christian, but I want you to know that all Christians don't fall for anything, okay? All Christians stand for when you're actual, not unactual, but like when you raise up inside of yourself and you really continue to submit to God and you continue to lay down your presuppositions, your predispositions and everything. And he's like, and you look at things for face value, you see what he stands for, what he doesn't, and that's how you make your decisions. Everything else becomes a moot point after that because you don't want to be on the wrong side of him. So I think putting God in reverence and honor and respecting him is above everything else, and everything else for my own personal life will fall into place because of that, because he will honor my obedience to what he says above anything else. It doesn't even matter what else happens in the world. And so
wait, hold tight, because I think you gave us quite a bit. I want to throw this to D1 because this seems to be the rhetoric. I mean, we literally had Tiffany Montgomery on the platform,
and she literally said Kamala's a witch.
Correct, and it's not just her. I have seen loads of people communicating this. So D1,
for sure,
when you get Christians specifically, or just people in general, who are communicating that there could potentially be one of the candidates who practices or somehow is affiliated with the dark side of spirituality, what do you think about that when you hear that?
I don't think too much of it because I've heard people say the same thing about Donald Trump. So honestly, I don't put too much stock into when people say that. And also, as a man of God, I'm focused on loving people the way Jesus did. When people lead with God told me this, God told me that, that's something that I think we have to be very careful about, because that serves as a shield for whatever they're about to say after that, because no one wants to be on the side of saying, you lying, God ain't tell you that. So when people lead with that, my thing is like inside Christianity, I'm not trying to discount this, and I love what this sister out there in Europe, Imani, is speaking about. Like I genuinely love her heart. I think that when people say that God showed me this or God revealed this to me about this candidate or about this person, I think a lot of Christians have experienced, like I've had hundreds of people say that God told them that I was their husband. You know what I mean? And that right there let me know that, man, a lot of people are hearing a voice, but they'll attribute that voice to God, and it's well-meaning Christians, it's real God-fearing believers. But when we get to the point, I don't think that Trump or Kamala is the Antichrist. I don't think that either one of them is going to lead to the end of the world. And guess what? If the world does end, we going to heaven. So what we worried about? You know what I mean? Like people.
Well, I want to say one thing before I go.
Make it brief. Make it brief.
Very brief. Very brief.
Make it very brief. Whenever anybody gets a revelation from God, he still speaks. There's Rhema word, there's Logos word, right? Whenever he speaks, if it doesn't line up with scripture, then it's not him. It's not a familiar spirit, right? So if abortion and Moloch and even everything in the scripture, if you're looking at somebody who's literally standing for all the things that God calls an abomination, and I'm like, okay, this person, I hear that she's an altar. Then other people are like, hey, she's a witch. I didn't hear she was a witch, but I knew she was an altar because God said it. And then I go to the word and it says that. That can't be a familiar spirit. Familiar spirits don't speak the word of God in the way that God wants to say it so that you know what's going on. They speak it in a way to twist you.
Okay,
so
wow.
There we go.
That's really a fair argument. But thank you guys. God bless
thank you.
Thank you, baby.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Ryan,
yeah, D1 listen.
Ryan, just to expound upon that young lady's heart and her comment that she made. Like, people speak as if Trump is totally anti-abortion. Trump is not anti-abortion. So
nobody
that's the
said
thing.
that.
So where if that is being used as the grounds for why Kamala is a witch to some people and is an altar to other people, that's the thing. Is like Trump is not sitting here like you're on this side of the issue and I'm completely against abortion.
Nobody said that. I really wish people would not. I wish we could have this conversation without people feeling like they gotta, Trump, or if it's a Trump supporter, then they gotta say, Kamala. Like, it's at the end of the day, nobody is saying either one of these people, like, I think it was it Ripside said, none of these people, we're not saying any of these people are the standard for morality. Okay, like, let's be honest. That's not what we're saying. However, what we are saying is one person is running their entire platform on women's rights. And the biggest issue for women's rights that she's running on is unaliving babies. I mean, a fact is a fact, and that's a fact.
To agree that she's the Antichrist or that he's the Antichrist. I just want to go on record.
Thank you for sharing. We got 5.
Absolutely. So we hold tight because we get ready to close it out. We know D1, you got to go, and we just respect, both ABL and Melanie's time. So real quick, shout out to 7N. I'm a conservative and voted Trump, but bro, you don't want a real relationship with God because other people are hypocrites. Just because you jump don't mean I'm gonna follow you. Shout out to Dwayne Johnson. D1, since you're undecided, my question, I don't believe he says undecided, he's independent. He says, my question with you being a man of God, what's your position with Kamala's stance on abortion and Wall State allowing them to term abortion? We're speaking about that now. Shout out to Maria Lewis says, as a believer, God gives us a choice and he gives us grace and mercy for our mistakes and missteps. Have the same pro-life energy with Black lives and the number of death penalty killings during Trump presidency. This last one I'm gonna read right here. Shout out to Revon Kirkendall. Most laws regulate morality, especially in your immorality harms others in society. Abortion kills someone else who is defenseless, and the dad who also created this life may not agree.
There you have it. This is gonna be the last caller that we taking here for tonight, and we going out here with a bang. This is a familiar face to me. It look like this is my big uncle right here calling in from Thailand. It's Will, man.
Oh, Will, what's up, man?
What's up, Will? How you living?
Boy, you looking real healthy over there, man. You look
different. That's that vegan diet. You lost all your damn fat in your body. You're hungry. Go eat.
Move from the U.S. to Thailand.
Go eat. So, but let me ask you, for people who don't know, you give me your age, your name, your age, and your location.
My name is Will. I'm 43, and I'm currently living in Thailand.
With that strong Brooklyn accent, that's family right there. Crazy. That's my roots. All right.
The Bronx.
Oh yeah. Bro, all right, but let's talk about it. Who you voting for?
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting this one out actually, but if I was voting, I would probably lean more towards Trump.
Okay, and why is that?
I believe that as a people, I look at things through the lens of a Black American because that's how I identify. And I've come to the belief that identity politics is destructive to our people. And I don't appreciate the fact that Kamala and the left-wing party leans on identity politics while at the same time refusing to do anything specifically for the people that they lean on. I believe that they understand the most guaranteed way to success in American society is through a strong nuclear family, and nothing that I see in their messaging or their agenda goes to support a strong Black nuclear family. Everything that I see them do serves to divide us. So, that and a number of things. I don't appreciate how Kamala panders to us, telling us that she was smoking weed and listening to Tupac in college, but he was like 10 years old when she was in college. Telling us that she's like us, but she grew up in Canada. It's just too many things that I see from that side that I just can't roll with.
Understood.
We got you, Will. Piggyback really quickly on something he said.
Let's hear it, Melanie.
Speaking of pandering, and this has not gone out the mainstream, of course, is not going to pick it up. But I don't know if anyone has been following Candace Owens' investigation into her family history. It has been proven without a doubt that in her book that she published in 2019, she put a picture of herself with a Black woman in there and said that that was her grandmother. It has come to find out that this was not her grandmother, but it was the help. She also pictured other Black people in there and said this was my aunt and uncle. But then have you noticed she starts saying there's family by blood and there's family by love?
Yeah, play cousin.
Because we found out that those weren't her aunts and uncles either in Harlem. You know, when she talks about washing her greens in the bathtub, I don't know a Black person alive that would wash greens in their bathtub. And she, you know, but this whole scandal about her family tree is extensive. That actually is what turned me completely off and really started to dig into her, who she is, her policies. And once you start to get into it, it's terrifying. But she literally faked this Black woman as her grandmother, and there have not been any other people identified in her family that are Black. People say, well, her father is. No, he actually identifies himself as Hindu and Irish. And so, and the only Black man that would, supposed Black man that would be in her life, the only Black family member that would be in her life, they have no relationship, and he's actually spoken out and condemned her. So when you talk about, and she did not grow up as you know, her ancestry is not chattel slavery. She's not African American. She is Indian and Jamaica. So
like
you
us.
know, she's brought up busing and all these different things that she did not go through. She literally lied, saying she's middle class. She grew up wealthy, mostly in Canada. So I don't want to go all into that, but again, they tried to use identity politics, and they even got mad at Trump for bringing it up. But it was Janet Jackson who brought it up about her father, and that's what caused Candace Owens to go into that, because she loves the whole, you know, Jackson family.
Wow.
Let me tell you, Melanie, thank you so much for your research. First of all, let me go ahead and say this right now.
And we'll appreciate you.
Will, thank you so much for coming up on here and giving us your perspective. Thank you very much, brother. And I know, let me tell you something. You want to go ahead and you want to split a room. All we got to do is talk religion and politics, and we did both tonight. In fact, we do both all the time here on Hardly Initiated, and we're going to lean into the hard conversations. But I want to first set the record straight, because I get that a lot of us in the chat or watching may not agree with some things that we have said on either side. But I'll tell you, each one of these individuals are fantastic people and doing fantastic work.
Michigan follows a careful and thorough process.
I think that's about it. You want to unmute?
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think that there. I guess I was hoping. First of all, it was a great conversation, but I guess I was hoping for a little bit more meat. I think that people have to make a decision tomorrow, and I don't envy the people who have to make a decision tomorrow, because I don't think we're any further along with understanding the policies. The only thing I can say for anybody who is still on the fence is, you know, definitely go to, unbiased sources and really dig into the policies, because I would say this election is probably one of the ones where policy was talked about the least.
Right.
The policies were talked about the least in this particular election by both parties. I think Kamala, she started off her whole campaign on I'm not Trump, I'm not Trump. This is what Trump does. This is what Trump does. And Trump started off with just kind of insulting Kamala and talking about how she's not Black, which is true. But I don't think we really had enough conversation about policy. And let's just be clear. No candidate has specifically said anything about doing anything for Black people of any kind, not Black men, not Black women, not specifically Black men or women in particular. When they do talk about politics, it's always for our community. It's always minorities. It's minorities. They say it could benefit Black people, but they don't say we're creating this policy for Black people.
Yeah. So just to clarify, I think Kamala's camp tried to frame it that way. So I think they tried to frame it as, you know, they were going to be doing these things for Black men, right? So it involves some business loans or some business grants. You know, it involves some marijuana legalities and so forth. So I think they did try to frame it that way. But I know that the minority thing is always in there. So we haven't seen the official verbiage.
I have, and it does not say Black men or Black women.
Okay.
It does not say that.
So that's always the deciding factor, because we all know that the word minority can be manipulated a few ways, and it can include, you know, women from other backgrounds, other races. There's all types of things that get wrapped up in the word minority. So yeah, we'll see what it ends up being, if it ends up being. But yeah, I did, you know, see some instances where she tried to frame it that way. So, but we'll leave it at that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I said shout out to everybody who joined us tonight. This was a little impromptu. You know, shout out to Hardly Initiated for having a conversation. Let's definitely check them out. They drop some good content. You know, have some great conversations over there. But yeah, this is Candid Convos, man. As y'all know, we always here every Wednesday night, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Let's say this was impromptu. So let's say that doesn't apply tonight. But let's say we will be live Wednesday night, 8:30. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that share, and hit that subscribe as well if you haven't already. But man, with that being said, everybody have an awesome night. And we're going to catch you guys on the next.